Aren't you a little old to be taking a bath together? Come out here, both of you. I thought we were after a gang of hoodlums.
We weren't doing anything.
I'd say you did all right. Tore up the bathroom, broken windows, busted light bulbs.
You two at Chelsea School earlier, we had a report there was a gang of up there breaking windows.
We weren't even there.
No, you were too busy in the bathtub.
That's a lie.
Better watch who you're calling a liar.
Take it easy, John. All right, let's go.
This is the wrong way to create respect for the... Tonight, Joe and Barbara are meeting law enforcement for the first time. They're learning that authority can be unfair. They are being taught that grown-up justice can blunder, just because some policemen always suspect the worst of teenagers. To them, adolescents are as unpredictable as wild animals, and just about as dangerous. They think they can judge all youngsters by the delinquents they have met through the years. Some of them, savage, twisted kids, who with sharpened tooth and ingenious claw strike against a society that they hate. These tools of destruction were actually taken from young offenders. But such children do exist. I know because I'm a policeman. My name is Clay, Sergeant Clay, in charge of the Juvenile Bureau in an eastern city. I specialize in dealing with youngsters. They're not all bad, even the ones who get into trouble now and then. Most of my work involves interrogation, getting to the truth by asking questions. The truth to children is not a simple thing. They conveniently forget what they don't want to remember. Fortunately, the juvenile court and our own regulations require us to keep careful records that we can refer to in time of doubt. They are confidential, but they carry a complete story of every child we ever see or even question. They help to sharpen memories. Last year it was a mysterious bicycle. Now it's a mysterious watch. After a while, most youngsters tell the truth. Often my questioning takes me out of headquarters. After all, my beat is only limited by the city boundaries, and I even cross them once in a while. The car that is assigned to me, unlike other police cars, is unmarked, nor do I ever wear my uniform, for we work as unobtrusively as we can. On a visit to a school, for instance, we follow strict procedures that are designed to cause a minimum of publicity and embarrassment. Although I'm well known to both the administrative staff and the teachers, I always go through channels in looking up a child. And I never talk to one without a school official present. Usually permission to question a child has been given by a parent. For both the youngster and his parents have legal rights that must be respected. At first, the presence of the assistant principal cramped my style. I've learned to take advantage of the respect the kids have for him. The children are more guarded in such a situation, but generally their answers in front of a witness tend to be more accurate. The problem at this meeting was to ascertain the boy's relationship to a girl delinquent who had his name in her address book. My job takes me all over town and into all kinds of neighborhoods. Our prevention campaign involves getting various church groups to set up children's programs. Today I'm finding out from Father Schmidt what his women's auxiliary has decided about funds for a new play center that is badly needed in this area. Father Schmidt is beaming because the ladies voted the money. It seems that some of his young parishioners will soon be off the dangerous slum streets. Dealing with other children's agencies is a very important part of my job. I'm even a member of the City Welfare Council. And I get up here to the Child Guidance Clinic at least once a week. This is where our troubled children are given the treatment that may prevent delinquent acts or change a pattern of destructive behavior that began in early childhood. Sometimes the court refers cases here. Sometimes I do myself. Today, for instance, I've come for a report by the psychiatrist and the social worker on a boy involved in several fire-setting incidents. By now, I understand that in very young children, arson and minor sex acts are signs of much deeper problems than we can handle. And so when the doctor tells me she thinks that they can help this particular boy, I naturally go along with her decision. When we find a little loner who has trouble making friends, we see that he is put in touch with a recreational group whose activities will ease him into contact with other youngsters of his own age. After all, the gang a kid joins can be a healthy gang. Someone has the time to give him the right start. Most lonely children, I find, really hate being alone. They just don't know what to do about it. Often, when I'm away from my desk at headquarters, I can be found here at the county courthouse, where our juvenile court sits. For in a way, the juvenile court judge is back of everything I do. Juvenile courts are quite different from their adult counterparts. Spectators and press are usually excluded. This is technically a hearing, not a trial, although some of the usual court procedures may be followed. After a youngster has been sworn to tell the truth, a representative of the DA's office may state the offense. I am present to act as a witness if necessary. But the important facts are submitted by the court's probation officer, who has made a thorough investigation of all aspects of the case. By now, he is familiar with the boy's life history, with his parents and their attitudes, with almost everything that has contributed to forging the character of the boy who is in trouble. In his estimation, John is not an incorrigible youngster. There is good reason to believe that this offense of burglary was committed under the influence of a group of older boys who were coercing him. The judge is quite willing to consider such circumstances in deciding what kind of corrective measures are necessary in the case. For under juvenile law, children are not fully responsible for their behavior and are never punished as adults might be for the same act. The legal difference between grown-ups and juveniles who are big, strong, and sometimes tough is difficult for many people to understand. The law holds that growing boys need guidance and protection, that the state has a duty not to punish them, but rather to remedy their behavior. This is especially hard for policemen in the line of fire to comprehend, for they know that when they pursue an auto thief, their own lives are in danger. Racing through a city at 70 miles an hour is not exactly a safe way of earning a living. There is danger at every step in such a job. Police regulations call for the use of firearms when they are needed. Men who will steal a car may well be carrying a gun. Police officers have been shot dead in such circumstances. Others have been purposefully run over. Every precaution must be taken in dealing with the adult criminal. But it's a different story when youngsters are involved, as I keep telling the line officers at every opportunity I get. For the general patrolmen are the ones who are most likely to have the first contact with a juvenile offender. And it's part of my job to help them to understand the enforcement of juvenile law. They don't seem to mind my nagging, for this is the way a stolen convertible was handled a few weeks ago by two men on the late shift.
Just kids.
I want to see your driver's license and owner's card.
I don't have the owner's card.
Whose car is it, Pete?
My uncle's. He gave it to me.
just for the night.
Pretty nice car for your uncle to loan out. What is your uncle's name?
Joe. Uncle Joe. Joe Robinson.
You expect me to believe that?
Well, I just borrowed it.
Was she with you when you borrowed it?
No, I picked her up after I got the car.
We have a report that this car is stolen. So you'll have to come with us. Step up.
The teenagers were not even arrested, technically. They were simply taken in for questioning. But even that's expensive for 6 minutes of thrill. Pete was not your regulation car thief. I saw that as soon as they brought him into headquarters. But it was my job to find out whether he'd ever stolen a car or anything else before. I had to get the facts of the case before he had time to make up a story to conceal them. A phone call had revealed that his parents were not at home, and so I questioned him in the presence of our captain of detectives. At first, he refused to take the whole affair seriously. Typical attitude of adolescents who can't quite face the music. But I was able to jolt him into reality. I wanted to know why he had taken the car and where he planned to go. I needed the whole story. It was one of those nights, Pete said, when nothing was happening.
Hey, fellas, come here a minute, come here. What? I have an idea. Oh, yeah, another brainstorm. Oh, is that? Let's go for a ride. What do you want to do? Ride around in a flying carpet? We can borrow a car. Oh, sure. Where? Look, hey, wait. There are a whole parking lot of cars out there.
Which one
why don't
would
we?
you?
Yeah. You gotta be joking.
Fine.
Somewhere, maybe a magic wand. Hey, listen, wise guy. You seem to know so much about this. Why don't you go out and get us a car? Me? You gotta be kidding.
We're not going. About what?
Okay. But who's gonna go with me? Look, what do you need, an escort? You don't need anybody to go with you. I'll do it. I don't want to do it alone. Be a coward. Come on.
No, wait, I get an idea. Susan looks pretty nice tonight. She could easily borrow a car. Yeah. How about it, Susan?
Yeah.
Why not?
That is pretty true. Hey, yeah.
What's the matter with the way I look? All right, I'll go. Back.
Okay, all right, I'm game.
Good.
Let's go. Hey, don't forget to pick us up now. Yeah, come on, back, Phil. We'll be right here.
Go on.
We rather believed the boy's story, but the fact remained that he had taken a car that didn't belong to him. I would have to check his school records and do a good deal of investigating before the case was turned over to the juvenile court. But I felt I could let him go home that night, once we'd contacted his parents. In the meantime, Susan was being interrogated by my assistant, Sergeant Carroll. Fortunately, her parents came down to headquarters as soon as they were called.
Susan, suppose your friend would have panicked when the police started the chase, and he was involved in an accident as he was speeding. You could have been dead now. Do you realize that? I mean, why did you do it? Oh, how far would you go to prove that you're not a square?
I don't know.
Maybe you should start thinking about that. You know, you went a long way this time.
We must often protect children from themselves and encourage parental authority. But not all juvenile offenders are just kids looking for a thrill. This motorcycle patrolman has a sharp eye for the difference, as well as for license plates that have been reported as wanted.
Keep your hands up on the steering wheel where I can see them and stay sitting exactly where you are. Keep your hands up there, and when I tell you, get out slow. All right, you can get out. Put your hands up on the car. Put your legs back. Back, all the way back. Stay there till I tell you can move. Cycle 18. Now just apprehended that 60 Chevy given out stolen this morning. I'm holding the occupant in the 2700 block Linden Street waiting for assistance. Over. Stay there till I tell you can move. All right, you can stand up now. Where'd you get the tires? Where were you taking them?
I don't have to talk about my lawyer.
Oh, wise guy. You've been around this before, haven't you? You'll talk.
I didn't get into the picture until the next morning. By then, Ken was securely locked up in our county detention home, a rather pleasant building, where youngsters are held while waiting for juvenile court action, or when they can't be sent to their home for some reason. It's not a jail, but it's not an easy place to get into or out of without Pop's approval and assistance. Mom is an old friend and a good cook. The youngsters rarely stay here more than a few days, but I often know them quite well. They've usually come through the channels of our bureau, sometimes more than once. But this was the first time I'd met Ken. He wasn't going to waste any charm on me. To him, I'm a cop. That's not a nice word in his vocabulary. The tough ones never bother me as much as they'd like to. I'm not afraid of them physically, and I can usually guess what is going on behind the movie gangster's sneer. If they weren't scared, they wouldn't have to put on the show. Sometimes I just wait them out. But there's no use getting rough. There are some kids who just don't know how to give. You can try, but you never get through the armor plate. I know from the records that Ken is a crook. He steals for money. In my book, he'll stand a lot of correcting, if ever. There was another juvenile car case recently. An accident alarm this time.
Are you hurt?
No, I'm all right.
Are you sure?
Yeah, all right.
Can you get out?
Yeah.
Later on, Sergeant Woodman told me the boy seemed odd right from the start. He thought he was drunk at first, but there was no smell of liquor. The boy was vague, didn't even seem interested in the smashed fender, acted like it was all a dream.
Whose car is this?
Mother.
Your mother's.
Yeah.
Does she know you have it tonight?
Well, sort of.
What do you mean, sort of?
Well, she lets me drive it sometimes.
Well, how about tonight?
No.
She doesn't.
No.
Let me see your license. This is your mother's car?
Well, sort of. It's in my father's name.
It's in your father's name.
Yes.
Does he know you have the car?
No.
He doesn't.
No.
Willie, I'm going to take you to the general hospital and get you checked.
Well, I'm all right. I mean, there's nothing wrong.
Well, it's routine. We'll discuss this whole thing at the hospital. Pat, you'll have to stay here until the truck gets here.
Car 2 to headquarters.
Car 2, come in.
Message for Sergeant Clay. I'm taking a juvenile car theft suspect to the General Hospital for a checkup. I'd like him to meet me there, please.
10-4, Car 2. You'll be notified. I got the call at home and drove straight to the hospital, where Willie was being examined for possible injuries. They give these cases a fairly thorough neurological going over, as well as a check on broken bones. When the sergeant handed the case over to me, he mentioned what he'd noticed at the scene of the accident. That the boy didn't seem interested in what was going on. That he acted as though he wasn't involved at all. I noticed myself that the boy was somewhat withdrawn, but I thought at first that he was only acting the cool cat bit. But then the doctor echoed the sergeant's opinion. Medically, the boy was okay, but his manner was definitely strained. No signs of alcohol or drugs, but his emotional responses were uncertain. He thought a psychiatric checkup was indicated. I told him I'd try to see to it, and then got the boy going toward home. He was no trouble at all. Home was quite a show. Willie wasn't what I'd call a poor boy. His father ran his own insurance business, but it was a cinch he didn't run his own home. Mother helped. I told him what was up, and the father exploded. He'd always known something like this was going to happen. The boy was naturally careless and thoughtless. That was why he wouldn't give him permission to drive the car in the first place. Mother obviously didn't agree with Dad. This was her big boy we were talking about. And when Father got too outspoken about the young man's character, Mother actually moved in to quiet him down. I had a feeling these two couldn't agree about anything. So I decided to stop their bickering by making a suggestion. The Family Service Agency on Kenmore Street has people trained to solve problems like this. If the boy needed special help, they would refer him to the right place. Otherwise, they might help the folks work things out right here at home. Mother didn't see anything wrong with expert help. Willie's dad didn't like the idea of going to strangers with his troubles. So I told him I had the right to handle this kind of case myself, if they were willing to act on my suggestion. Otherwise, it would be a juvenile court matter. That was when Father agreed that maybe my idea was a pretty good one at that. Family relations and the reasons for kids acting oddly are always complex. That's why the state consultant on juvenile police often brings in experts to talk to our men about such matters. Today it's a psychiatrist from a Philadelphia medical college, but sometimes it's a sociologist or a psychologist. The men seem to like these talks, maybe just because it makes an ology out of something they see and do every day. Policemen take their work more seriously than people think. If they didn't, they'd get other jobs. You don't see any of them asleep at a serious lecture like this on the epidemiology of juvenile delinquents, extreme poverty, and no playgrounds. Could be called emotionally unsanitary. Often, the epidemic can be stopped where it got started if we get busy with the antiseptics of good police work. You don't have to tell our boys much about neighborhoods, though. That's how they see the city from a front seat of a squad car. It's made up of good neighborhoods and bad. Blocks where nothing ever happens, or blocks where there's never a dull moment. You get to know each street, each alley. You must remember how things look when they're normal. Then, when anything is different, you're alerted to trouble. That's how you can check on a whole city from the front seat of a cruiser. Certain things happen at certain times. This schoolyard is not what it used to be. Some high schools have had to cut down on their playing fields to find room for the students' cars. Teenage America has squirmed its way into the driver's seat. So for the policeman, there is a whole new set of problems that he never had before. It isn't just a traffic problem. Fast cars are better than slow cars. Noisy cars are better than quiet cars. Young people like to show off. Young men like to beat out other young men. The phenomenon of adolescence on wheels, completely free and unsupervised wheels, is a frightening one. policeman on the afternoon shift just happens to be one of the first who has to cope with it. The formula is simple. 200 horsepower, 3 hours to kill before supper time, a bevy of healthy 17-year-old girls looking for fun, or a platoon of 17-year-old boys with the same idea in their heads. Sooner or later, ingredients like these explode. Some of the young people are well organized for the afternoon. Athletics provide a productive outlet for boundless energy. Minds and bodies are kept busy even if the youngsters are only taking part as spectators. These kids are less apt to get into trouble. Their competitiveness is channeled, their physical drive given a healthy goal. It's all the rest of the kids that the police have to worry about. From the time they are just out of kindergarten and only need someone to make sure that they're not run over. The official name for this police action is preventive patrol. And what does that mean? Taking care of a playground, one city wide. It's a strange assignment. You represent authority, kids may resent you, but others think of you as a friend. Others don't seem to know you exist. They are too busy with their own serious affairs. And yet you don't pass unnoticed. You're part of what is expected to be there. You're part of the uneventful summer afternoon in any city of the world. If you weren't around, it wouldn't be normal. Something would be wrong. It would be taken as a sign of trouble. You see all kinds of things on a tour like this. Sometimes what seems like a problem at first turns out to be something funny. Sometimes there is no sensible reason for why youngsters move. There is not always a reason for their not moving. You expect youngsters to be where they belong, not in grown-up places. Just being there is enough to arouse suspicion. You expect quiet neighborhoods to be quiet. Dullness should be dull. Maybe your presence keeps it dull and quiet. If so, that's fine. Policemen don't usually complain of boredom. Every once in a while, there is a break in the monotony, and some kids to share it with. Even a hardened police officer can enjoy a pretty scene. Doesn't make him any weaker or softer if he appreciates the nice things on his beat. Preventive patrol means being on the spot so that potential trouble doesn't develop. Your arrival isn't a surprise, but you expect that. Youngsters are more alert than grown-ups. You're not fooled. Of course they're playing cards. Seems to be no money around and there are no grown-ups involved. So they're playing cards. When there is nothing wrong, you move along. Preventive patrol doesn't mean hounding kids or telling them to move on to a hiding place that might be worse. Just being around is often all it takes. There are certain regular stops on this seemingly aimless tour of the city. You go to the hangouts where the kids are. Fuzzy's is one of the popular spots for the black-jacketed social set. But even they can afford to kid with the cops when they're not in trouble. You can't be upset by their kidding, or you're lost. Sweet shops, candy stores, pinball alleys, sandwich joints. These are the highlights of the afternoon cruise. The own doorsteps. These are the public living rooms of the children of the streets. It isn't much of a coincidence when a cop cruising his own beat happens to run into an old friend. Patrolman Corsi hasn't seen Joe since the night he found him in the bathtub.
Hey, Joe, come here.
We're just fooling around, officer. You weren't really fighting. He's my friend.
Well, I don't care about that, Joe. I've been thinking about the other night. I guess I was pretty rough on you. Gave you a raw deal. Anyway, I don't want you to walk around with a chip on your shoulder, okay?
Sure, officer, yeah.
All right, and that young girl that was with you, what was her name?
Barbara?
When you see her, tell her the same thing, will you?
Yeah, okay, officer.
Hey, behave yourself.
Boy, a cop apologized. But the policeman who is capable of saying I'm sorry to a youngster is a big man indeed. Who can be sore at someone who takes the trouble to say I'm sorry? Every man has his own way of earning respect. Every policeman has his own definition of fairness. As evening approaches, the costumes change, but the players are the same. There's to be a dance at the church, a concert at the high school. In the business area, the crowds are heavy. The men have left their offices. The women are doing the last-minute shopping. As the shadows lengthen, policing requires sharper attentiveness. Preventive patrol becomes a more demanding chore. Much can happen under the cover of darkness. Property must be protected. Closed shops must be checked on. Certain kinds of merchandise are more tempting to thieves than others. The night men know where to look, and what they look for is normalcy. They, too, have a list of musts. Potential trouble spots where youngsters or their older brothers may be getting out of line. The bowling alleys are visited. So are the bars, which are tucked away in corners of the town. On this shift, too, the city is a combination of neighborhoods. Some are always quiet, others must be revisited 3 and 4 times a night. There is no curfew in our city, but a crowd on a quiet street is enough to arouse suspicion. Here, for instance, a gang of boys on Oak Street.
Come here, boys.
What's going on?
Where are you boys from?
We ain't doing anything.
What is it, Russia or something?
Come on now, where do you fellas go to school?
We go to George Washington High.
You fellas are a little out of your neighborhood, aren't you?
No, we swing all over this bird.
You didn't swing by here for a little entertainment, did you?
A couple of guys invited us down for a dance.
Yeah, well, you know, you're going to end up in a dance, and pretty soon there's a fight, and fighting's hard on the eyes. You don't want to go away from here crippled.
This is a case of taking a fuse out of a potential explosive. These boys are looking for action. They could even make the cop the target of their restless energy if he doesn't know how to cope with their high spirits.
All right, shape up. You know, you fellas are going to go looking for a fight. Somebody's bound to get hurt. Right?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe. I could too.
Well, the point is it might be one of you rather than somebody from the other gang. That's something to think about. Back in your own neighborhood.
It's not hard to deal with a gang of cocky boys if you can take it, and if you know you're the boss. The adolescent ownership of automobiles is an even greater problem for the night shift. Parked cars have long since changed America's courtship pattern. Constant checking is required. They're especially vigilant in the areas of bars, which may have been selling liquor to underage patrons. But our men know where to find the youngsters after supper. If you have a car, you have to go somewhere. So nowadays, in most towns, there are drive-ins, which seem to act as magnets for the adolescent. This is a part of the new world, where gasoline and soda pop go together. This is where to find the teenager in his native habitat. These are teenagers with grown-up gadgets, trying to behave like adults. And yet, in many ways, they're still children. For what happens in a place like this? The official reasons for it are ice cream, hamburgers, or Coke. Of course, it has long since outgrown those reasons. Now it is a place to go to, a place to be seen at. A place to see others of your age, of your kind. As usual with adolescents, food is still an important ingredient of any social situation. At 16, you are always hungry, always burning energy, always on the go. But nothing much happens in a place like this. Mostly you hang around, waiting. What for is never very clear. These youngsters don't seem to have much to talk about. A newly hopped-up motor is a subject of intense interest. But they never stop looking, expecting, hoping for the bit of excitement that can make the evening a memorable one. like over there. But most of the youngsters just spend their time looking, waiting, maybe even lonelier in the crowd than they would be on their own block. See the drive-in version of a lady in waiting, waiting to be asked in. For the goal of most of the youngsters is a date at one of the tables in the noisy interior. This is the inner sanctum of the teenager. They are on their good behavior, but the urge to play, the need to find friends, the desire to pick up a boy or a girl, often interferes a little with their restraint. But the management here knows how to handle youngsters. They're only allowed to stay at the tables for half an hour after they're served. But at 17, that's plenty of time to make an impression or be impressed, to get off a wisecrack or to exercise your charm. This raucous room is a threshold to adult social life. And in the meantime, the others wait, hopeful, dynamic, vital youth, waiting to come alive. These are the forces of youth which the police must meet head on many times a day. They may seem frightening at times, but this healthy human energy can be handled. And that's my job, remember? I'm Sergeant Clay of the Juvenile Bureau.